to Hartford, where police are investigating a multi-car crash that took place last night, where 3 people were sent to the hospital and one of them stabbed. Fox 61's Shara Taylor has more from residents who witnessed the incident.
My car got totaled.
Clarence Nixon shares this photo with us. He says his 1997 Thunderbird was parked on Collins Street Saturday night when a car crashed into it and several others.
Where were you when it happened?
Sleeping. They knocked on my door. I didn't even hear.
Officials tell us 3 people were taken to the hospital, 1 reported stabbed and the other found unconscious but breathing. Collins Street shut down between Garden and Sumner for cleanup. Firefighters and police both on the scene into the morning.
Police say they believe the driver was traveling eastbound, sideswiped several cars along the road, then somehow fishtailed around and hit a car on this side.
Yes, companies had to extricate one individual and was transported. That person was unconscious but breathing at time of transport.
This man tells us he pulled out the passenger when he saw the crash.
I brought him out, cut the airbag, brought him out, made sure that he was stable, brought him out, and gave him some mouth-to-mouth in the floor.
One of those vehicles was occupied by somebody delivering pizza. That individual suffered minor injury.
Hartford Police say one of the crash victims was also the victim of a stabbing that happened earlier in the area of Maine and Rosemont.
The passenger in the vehicle, in the Acura, was found to have a non-life-threatening stab wound to his abdomen area. He was transported to St. Francis Hospital, where the Major Crimes Division responded and began an investigation.
They go too fast down there. You know, all the ambulances from out of town go to this hospital. We need speed bumps, you know what I mean? That's right, because they just go too fast down the street.
Today it's quiet where the accident occurred. There's debris along the side of the road. Police are still investigating the incident. Reporting in Hartford, Shara Taylor, Fox 61 News.